Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to East Wing Woodworking. If your business is anything like mine, producing and selling products locally and online, luckily you now have a strong demand for your product. At some point, there comes a time when you either have to have someone else manufacture your product to meet the demand, or you may even consider buying a machine to automate the production yourself. In today's video, we're going to talk about the advantages a CNC router has over the traditional method of making a product by hand, and show you a real-world example of how I took one of my handmade products and automated its production. Now let's get started. East Wing Woodworking. Now, CNC routers have been around for quite a while, and they can be a very expensive tool to purchase. But over the last few years, there's been an increase of manufacturers in the space. Now, that's caused a combination of lower prices and, in some cases, better quality options. Almost a year ago, I put out a video explaining the reasons why I purchased a CNC machine. Now, click up here if you want to check it out. I was selling a very popular product that we were making by hand, and after a while, making this product became both physically demanding and too slow of a process to meet that demand. The product we were producing was a small wooden vintage-style plate and picture frame stand made from solid walnut. Let me show you how I used to make these plate stands. The first thing I need to do, whether I'm making these plate stands by hand or using the CNC router, I have to plane the material to the right thickness. We start off with 3/4 inch walnut and plane it down to a 1/2 inch. In this example, I'm making 2 plate stands. So step 1, we trace the shape. Step 2, cut the blanks. Step 3, glue the blanks together. And step 4, we cut the rough shape with the bandsaw. Step 5 is the longest and most tedious part of the process, using the oscillating sander to complete the final shape. To complete step 6, we need the drill press to cut the holes for the dowel rods. The last step is to separate the sides into their individual pieces. Alright, now let's time warp into the future and show you guys how we do it now. Alright, glad we don't have to do that anymore. Now, to automate this process, the first thing we have to do is take our design and put it into the software. This part of the process is actually very easy. All I have to do is trace the shape onto a piece of paper, take a photo with the camera or mobile phone, and then import that image into the software. The majority of CAD/CAM software used in 3D printers and CNC machines offer an import and tracing function to convert your image into what we call an SVG file. This SVG file, or vector file, is what gives your machine a path to follow. Now, this image is not ready yet, as I'm going to have to go through and remove some of the imperfections. Once your design is in the software, you can manipulate its size, shape, add additional features, duplicate it, and once it's saved, you'll always have that file to go back to produce again. I created this file and have over 20 pieces laid out. Another benefit this process provides is less waste. And once completed, I'll have enough parts to complete 10 plate stands. When you run the program, the software will give you a rough estimate of the time it'll take to cut out all 20 pieces. This project will take 47 minutes to complete. Referring back to the last example, it took me over an hour just to make 2 plate stands. In this case, we're making 10 in 47 minutes. Keep in mind, the time it takes to cut out your project all depends on the feeds and speeds you set in your toolpath selection. Another thing to consider when it comes to project completion speed is the amount of tool changes required in a project. For this specific project, I only needed 1 tool, which saved a considerable amount of time. Now, when I make these plate stands, I use an 1/8 inch down-cut spiral bit. Now, this bit has 2 distinct advantages. 1, it leaves the surface of the wood smooth with no tear out, and 2, because it's such a fine bit, I don't really need to have to spend any time sanding the edges of these pieces when they're cut out. Now that the machining is complete, all that's left to do is remove each piece and start the assembly process. When assembling these plate stands, I use 1/4-inch oak dowel rods to connect the two sides. Then I do some fine sanding to make each side smooth. It also fills in any gaps that may form between the dowel rods and the side pieces. The assembly process is exactly the same whether I make the stands by hand or having a machine cut them out. Now I have timed it and it only takes me 12 minutes to assemble and finish one stand. What I like about the CNC doing the majority of the work is the ability to make multiple pieces in a single job. This way, I can store those pieces on a shelf and only assemble them when I get an order. Here I am, applying the finish as the last step. In conclusion, does the CNC router hold some serious advantages over producing a product by hand? Let's break it down. Production time is significantly reduced. The ability to produce customized or personalized designs. CNC also gives one the ability to produce high quantities of the same part while maintaining quality control. If you can eliminate as many steps as possible as well as reduce the amount of tools used in making a part, you will significantly cut your labor costs. And when you consider the cost of raw materials, the CNC produces far less waste. And my favorite thing about having access to a CNC is the ability to prototype new ideas so they can be brought to the market quickly. Ever since we started selling our products online, our plate stands have remained our biggest sellers to date. Since then, we have been able to produce many different designs that have all proven to be very popular, all thanks to incorporating a CNC router to our repertoire of tools. If you're someone whose business is at a point where you need to automate the production of your product, you should seriously consider investing in some sort of a machine, whether it be a CNC router, laser cutter engraver, or a 3D printer. Having any level of automation to aid in production or to help in creating new ideas is an investment well spent. If you're seriously considering going down this path, I would suggest that you do a ton of research, as you probably know that YouTube is an incredible resource. Being totally honest with you, that's where I did all my research, and it's been YouTube creators that still teach me to this day. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. As of today's video, we're at 947 subscribers. I can't thank you enough for all the support. Please don't forget, we will be giving away a DeWalt cordless screwdriver kit to a lucky subscriber once we hit our 1,000 subscriber goal. If you're enjoying our videos, please smash that like button and subscribe for future content. See you next time on East Wing Woodworking.